Waiting for Truth, the 12th in a series of songs and explanation by Dave Moorman. In the summer of 1993, Dave was in no hurry to leave Fleming, even after 4 years. Matt had graduated and went off to Colorado University. But in September, Don Forbes, the pastor at Faith Church, a former EUB congregation, in Sterling, had a heart attack. They needed a pastor, and Dave was the guy. In putting the appointment together, the district superintendent made sure they had an administrative assistant in place. Etta Jane McKee, the identical twin of Betty Jean, was a godsend. Dave liked to get things started, and EJ was a genius at getting them completed. All was going well until Sherry's father went to the hospital. They went to be with Stonewall Jackson Walton in Columbia, Missouri. Dave drove home to preach, then took Matt back to Columbia for Christmas break. Grandpa Jack had congestive heart failure, so the family had a last holiday with him. Matt and Dave came home on December 31st, and that was when Jack passed away. They got the answering machine message and headed back the next morning. Dave's parents, Bill and Mildred, came from Virginia to be with them, and they learned their longtime friend had died in an accident that week. It was a sad time. Then Bill gave them the news that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. The doctor told him he had about 7 years. Bill asked, "Then what?" "You have about 7 years," was the reply. The next year, Bill and Mildred took Dave, Sherry, and Matt to Israel to run where Jesus walked. Seeing and feeling the Holy Land was like opening a fifth gospel. When they got home, Sherry contracted a major intestinal disease. The McKee sisters were absolute angels, taking Sherry in and caring for her as she slowly recovered. For Dave's part, he tried to be a shaker and mover in Sterling as he had in Fleming. But he wasn't really a big fish when the pond was too large. Dave was still part-time at Marino. The little church suffered from once having too much money, income from an oil well. The well dried up, but the bad feelings remained. Even so, the church had a great time with the annual tamale dinner and children's programs. Their only hope was for resurrection. The United Methodist Clergy itinerate. This is especially necessary in small, tight communities, for a new pastors bring a breath of fresh air. In larger communities the congregation is more in flux, and a long-time pastorate lends stability. The Holy Spirit and church politics made sure Dave and Sherry moved a lot. Dave was ready for a change in 1997, having used up his 4 years' worth of sermons. The cabinet suggested that they move to Julesburg, Colorado. But Dave wanted to be closer to an airport, if they needed to get to his dad's side because of the cancer. So they offered him 2 churches on the western slope. This, too, would be a problem if they had to fly to Virginia. So they were sent to Platteville and Erie, which was just a 40-minute drive to Denver International Airport. The congregation asked if Sherry and Dave were up to traveling to Romania. Not a difficult choice, that. Thanks for listening. Be sure to click like and subscribe to hear more of Dave's life in music.